The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, Alaric had been a dedicated IT specialist, a provider, a loving husband to Bronte. We lived in Seattle in a craftsman house we'd painstakingly renovated together, filled with memories I now questioned. I was 46 and I thought I knew my life, my wife. I was wrong. It started subtly. Bronte, a vibrant artist, began working late, claiming new commissions. The familiar scent of turpentine and paint was replaced by an expensive, unfamiliar perfume. Our conversations dwindled, replaced by curt replies and averted gazes. I chalked it up to stress, offered massages, cooked her favorite meals, salmon with roasted asparagus, a dish she usually devoured. She picked at it, her eyes distant. I was oblivious, blinded by love, by trust. The first real crack appeared on our anniversary. We had planned a weekend getaway to Orcas Island, a tradition. But Bronte suddenly had a crucial meeting she couldn't reschedule. Disappointment gnawed at me, but I understood deadlines. I sent her flowers, a handwritten card expressing my unwavering love. Later that night, I found the flowers discarded in the trash, the card unopened. A cold dread began to creep into my heart. My unease grew with each passing day. Bronte's phone became her lifeline, constantly buzzing with messages she shielded from me. She started locking her laptop, a device she'd always left open, filled with colorful sketches and half-finished paintings. I tried to talk to her to bridge the widening gap, but my attempts were met with defensiveness and irritation. "You're suffocating me, Alaric," she'd snap. "Can't you just trust me?" Trust. That word echoed in my mind, a cruel mockery of the bond we once shared. I wanted to trust her desperately, but the evidence mounted. A misplaced receipt for a romantic dinner at a restaurant she claimed she'd never been to. A lipstick stain on her collar, a shade I didn't recognize. Whispered phone calls late at night, ending abruptly when I entered the room. I felt like I was losing my mind, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I started losing sleep, my appetite vanished, and my work suffered. I was a shell of my former self, consumed by suspicion and fear. I confided in my best friend, Jasper, a pragmatic accountant with a no-nonsense attitude. "Alaric, you can't live like this," he said, his voice laced with concern. "You need to know the truth. Hire someone, get proof." The thought of spying on my wife disgusted me, but the alternative, living in this agonizing limbo, was unbearable. I reluctantly contacted a private investigator, a discreet woman named Ingrid. I handed over everything I had: the receipts, the phone numbers, the photos. I felt like I was betraying Bronte, even as I suspected she was betraying me. The next few days were agonizing. I jumped at every phone call, every text message. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. I was a prisoner of my own anxieties, waiting for the inevitable hammer to fall. Then Ingrid called. Her voice was somber. "Mr. Alaric, I have something you need to see. We met at a coffee shop downtown." Ingrid handed me a thick envelope filled with photographs. I hesitated, my hands trembling. I didn't want to see them, but I knew I had to. I braced myself and opened the envelope. The photos were explicit, undeniable. Bronte in the arms of another man, kissing him passionately, laughing with him, holding his hand. The man was Kyan, our neighbor, a landscape architect with a smug smile and eyes that always lingered a little too long on Bronte. My world shattered. The pain was physical, a crushing weight on my chest. I felt like I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. 20 years. 20 years of love, loyalty, and commitment reduced to these sordid images. I wanted to scream, to lash out, to destroy everything in my path. Ingrid placed a hand on my arm, her touch surprisingly gentle. "I'm sorry, Mr. Alaric, I know this is difficult." I barely heard her. I was numb, reeling from the shock. I thanked her, paid the bill, and stumbled out of the coffee shop, the photos burning a hole in my pocket. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing. I pictured Bronte laughing and flirting with Kyan, betraying our vows, our life together. The anger surged through me, hot and blinding. I parked the car, walked into the house, and found Bronte in the kitchen, humming as she prepared dinner. She turned, her face lighting up when she saw me. "Alaric, you're home early. How was work?" I stared at her, my heart pounding in my chest. How could she act so normal, so carefree after what she'd done? I wanted to confront her, to scream at her, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I reached into my pocket and threw the photos on the counter. They scattered across the granite surface, a stark testament to her betrayal. Bronte's face paled. Her eyes widened in horror as she recognized the images. She stammered, "Alaric, I don't," I said, my voice cold and hard. "Don't even try to explain. I saw everything." Tears welled up in her eyes. "It's not what you think," she pleaded. "It just happened." "It didn't mean anything." "Mean anything," I repeated, my voice rising. "You betrayed me, Bronte. You betrayed our marriage, our life together. How can you say it didn't mean anything?" She started to cry, her body shaking with sobs. "I'm so sorry, Alaric. I never meant to hurt you. I love you." "Love," I scoffed. "If this is love, I don't want it. I'm done, Bronte. I want a divorce." She collapsed into a chair, her face buried in her hands. "Please, Alaric, don't do this. We can work through this." "I'll do anything. It's too late," I said, my voice unwavering. "The trust is gone. There's nothing left to salvage." I turned and walked out of the house, leaving Bronte sobbing in the kitchen. I didn't look back. I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't stay there, not for another minute. I spent the night at Jasper's apartment, trying to process what had happened. He offered me whiskey, listened patiently as I poured out my heart, my anger, my grief. He didn't offer platitudes or easy answers. He just listened, a steadfast friend in a moment of crisis. The next morning I contacted a lawyer, Hermano, a shark in a suit recommended by Jasper. I told him everything, showed him the photos, and instructed him to file for divorce immediately. I wanted it over, done, finished. Bronte didn't make it easy. She begged me to reconsider, sent me tearful emails, left desperate voicemails. She claimed she was sorry, that she'd made a mistake, that she still loved me, but I was unmoved. The pain she had inflicted was too deep, the betrayal too profound. As the divorce proceedings dragged on, I learned more about Bronte's affair with Kyan. It had been going on for months, right under my nose. They had been meeting at his house, at hotels, even at our favorite coffee shop. Everyone knew except me. I felt like a fool, a pathetic cuckold, the last to know about his own wife's infidelity. The anger simmered inside me, threatening to consume me. I wanted to retaliate, to make Bronte and Kyan pay for what they had done. I considered confronting Kyan, exposing their affair to his wife, but Hermano advised against it. "Don't stoop to their level, Alaric," he said. "Let the legal system do its work." But the legal system felt too slow, too impersonal. I wanted justice, not just a piece of paper. I wanted to make them feel the pain they had inflicted on me. Then an opportunity presented itself. Bronte, desperate to save the marriage, offered me a deal. She would sign a postnuptial agreement, giving me the house, the car, and a significant portion of her assets if I would agree to stay with her. She claimed she was willing to do anything to win me back. I pretended to consider it, to weigh my options. I even met with her, listened to her tearful apologies, her promises of fidelity. Inside, I was seething with anger, plotting my revenge. I agreed to her terms, signing the postnuptial agreement with a feigned smile. Bronte was overjoyed, convinced she had saved our marriage. She showered me with affection, showering me with gifts, showering me with promises. I played along, biding my time. Once the agreement was finalized, I dropped the bomb. I filed for divorce, citing adultery. Bronte was devastated, furious. She accused me of manipulation, of betrayal. But it was too late. The agreement was legally binding. She had signed away her rights, her assets, her future. The divorce was swift and brutal. Bronte was left with nothing, stripped of her possessions, her reputation tarnished. Kyan, facing the wrath of his own wife, was forced to sell his business and move out of the neighborhood. I watched them crumble, their lives in ruins, and I felt a sense of grim satisfaction. It wasn't happiness, but it was justice. They had hurt me, betrayed me, and they had paid the price. But the victory felt hollow. I was alone, divorced, and scarred by the experience. The house felt empty, the memories tainted. I realized that revenge, while satisfying in the moment, didn't fill the void in my heart. I decided to sell the house, to start fresh, to rebuild my life. I moved to a small town on the coast, far away from Seattle, far away from Bronte and Kyan. I took up photography, a long dormant passion. I spent my days exploring the coastline, capturing the beauty of the natural world. Slowly, gradually, I began to heal. The pain didn't disappear entirely, but it lessened, became a dull ache instead of a searing wound. I learned to forgive, not for Bronte's sake, but for my own. I realized that holding onto anger and resentment was only poisoning myself. Years passed. I built a new life, a life of peace and purpose. I made new friends, discovered new interests, and found a sense of contentment I never thought possible. I even started dating again, cautiously, tentatively. One day I received a letter from Bronte. She was living in a small apartment working as a waitress. She apologized for her actions, expressed remorse for the pain she had caused. She said she understood why I had done what I did and that she didn't blame me. I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say. I had moved on, rebuilt my life, and I didn't want to reopen old wounds. But I did feel a flicker of pity for her, a recognition of our shared humanity. I learned a valuable lesson from that experience. Trust is precious, easily broken, and difficult to rebuild. But life goes on even after betrayal. It's possible to heal, to forgive, and to find happiness again even in the face of unimaginable pain. And sometimes the best revenge is simply to live well, to thrive, and to become a better version of yourself. That's my story. A story of betrayal, revenge, and ultimately redemption. It was a dark chapter in my life, but it taught me valuable lessons about love, loss, and the resilience of the human spirit. Remember, betrayal can be a cruel teacher, but it can also be a catalyst for growth. Don't let it define you. Let it refine you. Thank you for listening.